All right. All right. You are a punctual bunch. People were jumping in. Always very exciting to see. Thank you all for coming to our Q3 community Zoom. Some of my favorite parts are getting to blast some EDM music to start. So thank you all for entertaining that while I played one of my new favorite songs. Packed agenda today. Lots of exciting things happening. Amazing speakers, as always. Just kind of a quick reminder of what we're working with today. We got some community successes. We've got an awesome segment lined up and our questions for the community portion. Awesome story time. I'm pretty excited for this one. So we're going to jump right into it. I cannot start without giving a major call out to our sponsor for the community Zoom. I see Stephen Shaw is on. Stephen, great to see you, my friend. And as always, thank you to Verizon, who helps make a lot of this stuff happen for us. So just want to give them a huge shout out. They've been coming behind our gaming community here in Wisconsin and southern Wisconsin in a number of ways. And it is just really cool to see. So thank you to Verizon, Stephen Shaw, and that team. Just a reminder, because I do see a bunch of new faces on today, which is always super exciting. Our mission here at the Milwaukee Esports Alliance is just to connect the community. So you see kind of our two visions and what we're shooting for, but at the highest level, we exist to bring people together in our esports ecosystem. So we try to do that through things like community Zooms today. We do that through our Game Time newsletter. We do it through our Discord, our social medias, any way we can find to bring people together to collaborate and grow the esports ecosystem. We're shooting to try to accomplish that. So that's always our number one goal. And then secondly, we've got some incredible partners like the Wisconsin Center District, Visit Milwaukee, others, Summerfests, bigger entities around the state that are also fighting to create a really collaborative gaming ecosystem to help us all grow. And so we're trying to tell that story with those partners and others around the country to continue to grow investment in infrastructure here. So always just want to reiterate what we're here to do. And then I like to kind of give, not to take too much time for us because the speakers are really what's the most exciting, but I do like to just give you guys an update on kind of what's been going on. So you may have seen a number of different pieces of news, which was really exciting. So we did complete our first IT and esports cohort at MPS. A lot of really cool things going on at MPS. You're going to hear about that today. But it was really exciting to complete that program. We have another one slated for the fall. But that's just been a really cool example of one of the ways that the school system is sort of diving in to gaming and the opportunity it represents. So great job to New Horizons. Mike Dahl, who was the instructor for that, who also leads our High School Esports Association, was a part of that, and many others. So just thank you to MPS and thank you for seeing that program grow through. If you saw any of the news, any of the articles, it was just really cool. So exciting program there and more to come. We did a collaboration with Texas A&M. So their nutrition, vision, and cognition department was actually doing an esports study where participants could basically do 10 hours of research for the university and get paid $250. And so we've been trying to just kind of get that information out to anyone who had interest, because we're always trying to invigorate capital into our esports ecosystem. So I do mention that program is still continuing. They were going up to 150 people nationally. I think we had about 45 in Wisconsin doing it. So if for some reason you have athletes that are either over 16 years old on a team in esports, collegiate, professional, otherwise, please shoot me a note. Happy to pass that information along. But it was just really a cool opportunity to get more capital into our ecosystem. You'll hear today, and you may have seen a couple posts recently, but we are indeed looking at some facility development, which is a really exciting place if you've been kind of along this journey in our ecosystem. We're at a really cool point where people are starting to take notice and realize the great value and great opportunity we have to continue to build infrastructure around esports in Wisconsin. So that's been really exciting. You may have also seen Experis Gaming, who kind of made a splash about a year ago, who mentioning that they're going to be opening up a facility in Milwaukee has actually happened. And so we've been able to go and tour that. It's really cool. If you look at their other facilities in Tempe and I believe Portland, they've got up to 500 quality assurance people testing video games and growing. And so we're really excited about where that can go and hopefully partnering with them to help bring them into our ecosystem. But they've been great partners. That was really exciting. And last but not least, we're also working on getting in front of some city officials here in Milwaukee in particular to kind of start to talk about ways that they can invest and ways that we can start to compete nationally with other regions and states who are investing in things like tax credits and other ways to incentivize participation. You might have seen this probably took a bump recently. Our Bucks Gaming won the NBA championship for 5v5, which is incredible. They've been getting a bunch of press, as is well deserved for that. They did just get a proclamation City of Milwaukee Day for Bucks Gaming, so that was really cool. But lots going on. And then I also just mentioned we've got some cool presentations upcoming there on the right, where we're talking and growing awareness of esports. So many cool things happening. And I also wanted to mention, friends, those that were there last year, we're bringing it back. The Wisconsin Esports Summit is coming back in 2023, bigger and better, we hope, than ever. You will see there, our anticipation is to be at the UW Panther Arena. You'll see that black AstroTurf there that the Wave used. We're actually going to try to do it right on top of that. So it should be a really cool venue and a really cool destination. We're going to increase the opportunity for more participation. I saw Battle was on from BattleBox. I still got to hit you up, my friend, but we're going to get a lot more video games at this thing. We're going to get VR. We're just going to really make it a continued immersive experience. And we also are hosting a Wisconsin Collegiate Rocket League tournament. So buckle up, because more fun stuff happening. But just wanted to get that out there. Keep the date in mind. We believe it will be that date. Still some fluidity and scheduling. But this is something we're really excited about to continue to bring the community. It was a really fun time last year, and excited for everyone to continue to get involved, do fun things. So with that, enough of me talking. On to the exciting parts of the show. We've got a couple folks here from Milwaukee Rec, MPS. It's not just the pilot program that we were doing with our cohort. There is a ton going on. And Gabby, I saw you were on, my friend. There you are. I think I had seen Zach and Nolan. But I would love, if you wouldn't mind, just kind of bringing people up to speed a little bit of what's been happening at MPS, our state's largest public school, some of the stuff you and your team have been working on, and kind of what you can people can expect over this next couple of months. So welcome, my friend.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Brendan. I appreciate you having me on, not only myself, but Zach and Nolan. So I'll just start with, my name. My name is Gabi Olmedo, and I've been working under Milwaukee Recreation and Andrew Rosa here for about 7 months now. Andrew Rosa, who I think is in this call, began the building process at Milwaukee Recreation with our Twilight sites, which are our free community evening program for kids around the MPS in the city, and a couple of our high schools. And so with that small group that we have here, Zach and Nolan, we were able to then kind of facilitate the project the rest of the way through. So I'm not sure if Brandon said how many schools we have, but I think at the moment we're at about 16 MPS schools, or mostly high schools, that we're injecting esports in. So tech, furniture, along with our partners at Spectrum Industries, have been able to go in and kind of find a space at these high schools for us to program esports for the kids. Hopefully, coming soon, which soon is before the winter break here, but definitely going into next year, we're looking at having schools further along that journey, whether it's through our own kind of battle testing, and then kind of hopefully in the outside world and competing in several of the leagues that we have at the local level or at the state level. So it's been a long journey. It feels like we've been here working for 10 plus months now, but we've enjoyed the journey so far, and all the work that we've been doing together. We feel we're doing a great job, not only for ourselves, but for the kids, and the students who just kind of need that outlet. And so, we're chopping away alongside Zach and Nolan. So I'll kind of pass it along to Zach here and let him introduce himself and what he's kind of been doing here at Milwaukee Recreation for esports.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Gabby. A lot of stuff just came to mind there in those few words that you said. And Brandon, I saw that arcade 1-Up box behind you, the Simpsons one. Big props to that. I'm slowly getting that into my garage basement collection. I actually got that same one on clearance, but I haven't got the wherewithal to put it together yet.
Nice.
So that gives me some motivation because it looks super cool. My name's Zach. I play a small role on MPS rec team, trying to bring esports, quality esports program to kids in Milwaukee public schools. It's particularly important to me because I'm actually an alum of Milwaukee public schools. So just to kind of hear this stuff, I've probably been out almost getting on 20 years now, but I'm sure a lot of people can relate. When you were in school, video games were a waste of time, or it's something, teachers will say, hey, what are you doing? Video games, you're wasting time playing video games. So it's so cool that we're able to bring a positive spin to it. Because video games have played a tremendous role in my life in terms of building communication, working on teams, challenging myself, learning how to fail. I think all kinds of great skills that were probably underappreciated for a long time. So glad that we're going to be bringing that to, like you said, Brandon, one of the biggest school districts in the state, over 70,000 students. So super excited about that. I've been with MPS Rec esports team since like April or March, something like that in the spring. So we're getting, kind of slow start and then really picking things up. And now we're putting together a lot of logistics and getting rooms ready to roll now that schools are in session and getting to be in session next week. Favorite video game for me is Rocket League. That's my go-to. And I got to throw in Guitar Hero. Back in the day, that was my jam. But one of the things that I've been working on or focusing on the last few months is we've been calling it a handbook or a resource guide for coaches, because we've really been thinking of building a program from its foundation or building it from scratch. We wanted to make sure that we had as many resources available as possible, so that coaches didn't feel left out in the cold, or that they didn't know what they were doing or weren't sure what resources were out there. And again, a lot of people like Gabby's been recruiting, Andrew's been working with, have some familiarity, or maybe they have some kind of rag tag group that they've already been doing esports with. But we're also trying to anticipate some teachers or school staff that maybe just want to be with their students but don't know anything about video games. And that's kind of what we've been working on. That's kind of the perspective we had in working on this guidebook. But I'll just go through a couple of things that we've touched on in this document. It's a living document. It's a Google Doc that we're going to share with coaches, because we know in our first year it's going to evolve, it's going to change a lot, and we're going to include, there's going to be a lot, it's going to be very collaborative. So there's going to be a lot of input from coaches and everybody involved in the program, so it'll develop and grow as we go on. But we have sort of the welcome, the background, why esports and MPS, esports, in K to 12, and just kind of how it's blown up. We have connections to a lot of links in the media, so like articles, news stories. Brandon, you mentioned the recent championship for the Milwaukee Bucks team. So that's definitely shown the light on esports here locally in Milwaukee. Definitely a big deal. So we'll continue to gather resources like that. So again, any coaches that we're working with that don't have familiarity, and we still come across a lot of that. We're putting together shares and stuff. People are like, what's going on? Oh, we're doing that in the school. So the more resources we can collect to kind of legitimize and validate this kind of work, I think is awesome. Sort of the vision, where do we see MPS and esports going and MPS Rec, in the next 5 or so years, and what kind of leagues and tournaments we want to be a part of. And then we have some dotting I's and crossing T's and getting kind of the grind kind of thing. So like onboarding and orientation for a new coach. If you're just starting and you signed up maybe at the beginning of the year with most of them, or if you're in the middle of the year, where do you start with? So we kind of put together how to play tutorial for our main games. What is esports, stuff like that. Probably one of the main things we have is a recruiting toolkit, because we know that's going to be a major emphasis this year. Is football, basketball, baseball. Those are all programs that have been around for forever, as long as school's been around. So esports is something kind of new, and you got to kind of promote it, and you got to students have to understand that. And actually, teachers and faculty, it's just as important for them to understand that this is a awesome option for kids to get involved with extracurriculars. So recruiting tools, things like sample announcements to make to the staff, when it's a staff meeting, morning announcements, because we know that's a great recruitment tool in schools, flyer templates, esports. And one thing we really want to utilize is an esports student interest form. It's basically like a Google form that we made. But any students who are interested, on all of our flyers, we can have this little interest form. Students can kind of fill it out. We'll get a feel of like what school they're at, what grade they're in, what games they're interested in, and they connect them to the appropriate coach or representative at their school. Logistics stuff. So when a coach, they have all this equipment now, expensive equipment in their room, how to manage it, how to keep track of inventory, how to sign out, things like that. And then just stuff like team management. A lot of teachers probably have these skills, managing classrooms and their education with that. But, attendance expectations, behavior expectations, team building, focusing on sportsmanship, bully speech and things like that. And then, of course, we're like I mentioned, we want to make it a collaborative environment. So we're, going to create a group chat, probably have, periodic check-ins with the coaches throughout the year to see how things are going, who's doing really well and enjoying it, who's struggling, who needs ideas, and try to create that environment where they can kind of help each other out and build off each other. And then we have like a miscellaneous section where, actually a lot of the students in MPS, qualify for free lunch, which means they, have low income household. So we have a little section in there for like how to game on a budget, where to get games for free, where to get games at a discount, when's the best time to buy games, stuff like that. Because again, a coach, who's just entering this field, might not have that stuff or might not have access to that kind of stuff. So we even put little stuff like that in there. So I'd be happy if anybody wants to put in the chat or has any other ideas of stuff we could put in this book. Obviously, we'll welcome that. And I don't know, Gabby, if you could share the link, could share a draft. I don't know, it's up to you, but that's pretty much all I got on my end. Just excited to be a part of the movement again, because again, just as far as it's come in the last couple of years, it's crazy. But I'm happy to be a part of it and introduce this to students.
Yeah, man. Well, no, thank you for that. And thank you, Gabby. I think a couple thoughts came to mind as you were saying that, right? So 2 years ago, let's just take a litmus test. We had nothing. Now we're looking at 16 high schools, 16 schools at MPS starting to get integrated esports. Like if you just sit and marinate that for a minute, that's incredible. And I think to what, Zach is sharing, just the idea that it's wanted isn't enough, right? They need materials, they need education. So I'm really grateful for he and his teams building out those materials to help people be successful. I see a lot of our college coaches on the call today, and I know our collegiate environment are desperate for increased interaction with our high school esports teams from a recruiting perspective, from a pipeline perspective. So just context, because not everyone is deep into esports that attends these calls. It's critical, A, to have your state's largest public high school buying into this. What an incredible gift. Then B, you need education and you need, institutional knowledge. They're also tackling that. And then it comes full circle when you start to integrate with other pieces of the puzzle. So kudos to you and your team. I know there's a lot of work left to be done. So we're not at the finish line, but just the effort you guys have undertaken with Andrew and the whole MKE Rec combination has been really cool. So yeah, light up the chats, reach out to these guys, obviously with discretion, because they're very busy in the midst of launching with school starting, and it's a big project. But we're really excited to see what happens. And of course, the community is here to support you. So thank you guys. Really appreciate you being willing to just kind of share a quick update on that and keep us in the loop, because we're all stoked to see where it'll go.
Brandon, can I just get Nolan Webb just like 2 minutes as well?
Yeah,
Because he's an integral part in just kind of the room layouts and getting us, from a tech side of things, what we're looking at to, essentially get in these rooms, because some of these rooms, they were built years ago. So some of the infrastructure needs changing. So I just want kind of Nolan to give a 2 minute on kind of what he's walked through essentially and what he sees, in the future for these rooms. So Nolan, you got 2 minutes.
Brendan, try to bail me out of that one. Now, good afternoon, everybody. My name's Nolan Webb. Been in Milwaukee for a couple of years with MPS since March, April as well. Background working in school system down in Mississippi, if you couldn't tell from my accent. Worked with the local school system there with their esports program for a little while. I was the IT network security administrator for the school, so it was kind of easy to have a hand in that. I've also run a international VR mini golf tournament, Walkabout Mini Golf, if any of y'all are familiar with that. Help them kind of start and maintain their tournaments. It's going on its own now. But yeah, the MPS Esports program, let's say from what I've heard, is we've come a long way from the beginning, which is fantastic. Got a long way to go, which is also, it's good to have some work to go. A lot of the rooms, like Gabby said, were a little older, probably not fit for any kind of computer, especially not esports environment. So we just had to kind of go through and just check, switch closets, internet capabilities of those rooms, and how we can work with facilities to get that access to those rooms. Just making sure that every single school has the exact same specifications, hardware, software, network, security, whatever have you. So it's just a smooth and seamless process. We've like Gabby's saying, we've got some computers to get into those rooms, but the groundwork, everything is there. We're really ready to get everything in place and to get these kids playing.
Love it. Yeah, it takes an entire team to try to pull off half of what you guys are pulling together. So like I said, we're rooting for you, and that's really cool.
I appreciate it. We appreciate that.
Awesome. All right. So that's the team from MPS. Appreciate you guys popping through. We'll jump to our next success story. So gentleman who's going to join us, I'll share my screen because you guys, I put these PowerPoint slides together. I'm pretty proud of them. So I want to make sure you all see them. David Nowak from Wheelhouse Games. Wanted to have David on, just kind of share. So he's in Whitefish Bay, but the project is a pretty large one, to say the least. And so just wanted to kind of give him a minute to share. They just recently launched their app, and just wanted you, David, to share, hey, this is what's going on at Wheelhouse. This is kind of the genesis of the project, and maybe just introduce kind of the community to what you're working on. So welcome, David Nowak.
Thanks, Brandon. And I apologize. I got COVID about a month ago, so I still lose my voice on and off. But I'm the creator and founder of Wheelhouse Games. It was 4 years ago. Looking at Zach's baseball hat of the Brewers, I was sitting with my sons who are juniors and seniors now at Whitefish Bay. And it was July. We were watching the Brewer game. And they said, Dad, we're bored. We got to go home. I'm like, guys, it's not even the first inning. And so, I realized that they're sitting there, and I watched them come back home and watch somebody play video games on their phone, play video games on the TV, chat with their friends on the TV, chat with their friends on their headset, talk to me, and I'm like, they're never going to go to a Brewer game again. And that's how I came up with the idea of Wheelhouse. 4 years later, and $3 million, we are in the app stores. Wheelhouse was designed through my kids in their eyes. So it's a live TV game show on your phone. And we use pre-recorded video games as our quote sports, because for my kids, they play sports, but sports is really video games as far as watching on their phones. Okay, and they're a junior and senior here at Whitefish Bay High School. So over the years, we've come full circle. We are live in both the Google Play and the Apple Store.
Well, Carrie Grace, this is Andrew.
Hey, Andrew. So,
Yeah.
Keep going, David. Sorry about that.
Sure. And but we did launch in July. We had a hiccup with a crash and some bugs, so we're fixing all that and looking to go back live here end of September. But what we basically do is we take over your phone. And here's our app, Wheelhouse, and you can see it on my phone. One, it's free, ages 13 and up, because I got tired of paying money for my kids' skins that I didn't even know about. Took me 2 years later. I'm like, guys, what's this $100 a month? Well, we didn't tell you it's for cosmetics only. I'm like, no, you didn't tell me that. So it's free. I wanted interactive. So we pre-record video games, which we've been doing for the last 10 to 12 months with eSport college gamers out of North Dakota. I also have I live in Whitefish Bay, but I have a company in the North Dakota oil field. Our in-house tech guy is in Bismarck, North Dakota. He's also the eSport coach at Bismarck State College. So we got NDSU, UND, and Bismarck State College eSport gamers, mainly playing Rocket League is our main game. And so Rocket League is 3 games for an event. When you join the event, you'll make pre-event predictions. And it's a game show. Think of watching Wheel of Fortune or Jeopardy on your phone. The only difference is you can play at home and you can win. Okay? It's free. You're going to watch videos to get boosters. You get 6 boosters per event. If you select a booster before you make a prediction, again, it's not gambling. It's free. But you make predictions. So before the whole event, you're going to predict who's going to win, who's going to be the MVP of game 1, who's going to score the first goal, who's going to win the whole series. And you make predictions, and if you're right, you get points. Then before game 1, our host, and again, she's on, we have a woman host to start, but we're going to expand. She takes over your screen. And it's kind of like HQ Trivia, if anybody ever played that, where they take over your screen. And it's a TV show on your phone. And she'll tell you, now we're going to go into game 1 predictions. And you make your predictions for game 1. Then the game show, the actual video game plays. It's been pre-recorded. We actually cast over the audio, so we have our own broadcasters. So they'll say, if you would have selected, so-and-so to score the first goal, you would have gotten 75 points. So we take that result, and it shows up right away on your phone that you got 75 points when that goal scores. And I just saw someone talk about gambling, but no, it's free. We're doing only family-friendly video games. So I'm not doing any shooter games. So we're doing like UFC, Mario Kart, who's going to get the first banana. And we had a group of 500 people focus test this winter. And we had grandparents, parents playing with kids, because that's how we designed it. Because I can't play video games with my kids, even though I beat my son in PGA 2K the other night. That was a fluke. But I've had so many parents tell me over the last 3 years, now you mean I can sit on the couch and play Wheelhouse? It's something with video games with my kids? Yes. Okay. And I wanted it free. Okay. So it's ad-driven model. We take part of the ad money and we give it back for prizes. If you're 13 to 17 and you're in the top scorers, you get a choice of like 25 gift cards, Xbox, Subway, Domino's, Jimmy John's. If you're over 18, you get prepaid Visa gift cards. And unlike HQ Trivia, nobody's going to win $1,000. It's going to be a top prize of maybe $40, $50. And then a lot of people win $5 to $10. Okay. So it's basically a game show on your phone, 30 minutes that you make predictions throughout. You make predictions at the end and you have fun. It's interactive and you can win. Our TV studio is actually in Bismarck, North Dakota, because that's where our tech guy is. And again, he's the eSport coach at the Bismarck State College, but we're US only. We do have a good group of advisors, top guy at Microsoft, ex-CEO of eBay, and also Patron, who are investors. And we're launching just US only, family friendly. And we'll probably have 2 or 3 contests a night and more on weekends. And again, since it's our contest, we control everything. Okay. So if there's big demand, we can have more contests and we can schedule it that day. If there's a snowstorm in the Midwest, we can schedule extra games in the afternoon because we know the kids wake up at noon, like my kids, and they get on their Xbox. So it's family friendly. It's mobile only. We don't have a web version to start. We're working on that. And really, we're reaching out to colleges and high schools because that's our target market. I have 25 college reps right now I made these postcards that once I give them the go ahead and it has an explanation, they're hitting all the frats and the dorms at their colleges. Once we go live again here around October 1st. So we're doing that. We'll be advertising on digital media, Barstool Sports, those types of marketing, and really getting the word out for colleges and high school esports. And as I told Brandon, we will donate money to tournaments and programs to help promote esports throughout the country, not just Wisconsin. So, and then we're looking at taking it to other countries because we do have a top guy at Microsoft that has, he actually is, reports right to the CEO, and so he'll help us take us to other countries once we are comfortable with the U.S. But really, just starting out small, and we have a lot of other features designed once we launch to add more excitement. Like, let's have 2 high schools and MPS have 10 students play against each other on Wheelhouse and add up their scores, and the winners get a gift card, a $25 gift card. So there's colleges versus college, high schools, and we have a gamer forum on our website that if you have college gamers that want to be one of our gamers, we pay them. We pay them. I think we pay them about $30, $40 an hour to play a video game. And it's pre-recorded. That's one of our pre-recorded games, and then they'll be on Wheelhouse as one of our contests. So there's forums like that on our website. We're looking for more hosts. We can have remote hosts. In fact, I just was at the gym this morning here in Whitefish Bay and saw Steve Novak. He's a Bucks announcer. He's got the setup at his house, for a green screen. He's like, Dave, are you live yet? I said, just, October. He goes, just remember, I want to be a guest host. So, we're going to have a lot of fun with this because that's what we really want is fun. It's free. It's interactive and family friendly. Like I said, I can't play video games with my kids, and I did in the beginning, but then they just beat me so bad it's like not fun. So again, that's what Wheelhouse is. It's been a 4-year project with a lot of ups and downs, and we're right on a 1-inch line. And even though we're in the app stores, that's not our current build, but we'll be live again by end of September.
Love it. Well, like I say, so thank you, David, for just that introduction. As we are trying always to give, audience and give props to local production and stuff. I was glad to get the chance when we had a chance to connect to kind of share this a little bit. And there were a couple comments in there, and I do think it's worth, obviously you've had a broad community of people looking into it, and we won't dive into it today, but Jim O'Hagan is a highly respected scholastic esports expert around the country, and his commentary on here are some things to consider. I'll definitely make sure to connect you to, because it's feedback is always awesome. And I think there'll be some great perspective to gain to it. But thank you. Appreciate you coming on. Thanks for sharing the Wheelhouse story. Excited for you guys, excited for local development and things being led locally. So many thank you for the time, my friend.
Yeah, and I just want to throw in, like, even when you talked about gambling, I had to spend $15,000 on a legal opinion from an attorney in Chicago just to say that we're free and that we're not taking a debit or credit card. Because we did get Silicon Valley Bank to bank us, and that was one of the things their compliance department wanted to say, because everybody thinks we're somehow associated with, money coming in, but we don't take a debit or credit card, so it is free, ad driven, and obviously the more money we make, the more we give out for prizes. Simple, pretty simple.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
We're going to move to our questions for the community section, and I will not try to be overly enthusiastic, but I am pretty enthusiastic for our guest to be joining us today. Megan Seppmann from the Wisconsin Center District is here for our questions for the community. And I think, as I had introed, there's some pretty exciting conversations happening right now around something that we all in the community know is of dire need, which is facility development to serve a number of different areas that today are not being able to be served. You guys aren't familiar with the Wisconsin Center District. They are one of the leaders in the state in terms of entertainment, venue, and destination work. Visit Milwaukee is underneath their umbrella. They are in the midst of a $440 million expansion of the Milwaukee Convention Center. And so we are really excited that Megan and her team, President Marty Brooks and others, who have known this was something on the radar for a while, have been really vested in this conversation. And so I wanted to give her a chance to just get introduced to the community, share a little bit about kind of the vision and things that have been in progress, and then just kind of, as you guys have all been super helpful in the past, there may be things that you hear or see that you say, aha, I have an idea, I have a vision, we would like to partner with this, so on and so forth. And so then we're going to start to try to help this idea really be cultivated by the community. So Megan, thank you for creating the time. I see Steve Harms on here too. Steve Harms from WCD representing as well.
I have Steve Harms on here, as well as Connie Kopecky, our counterparts at Sports Milwaukee, joining the conversation today with the community. And just thank you for all of that that intro, Brandon. That's a lot going on here at the district. And you're absolutely right. We have known that there is an area of opportunity not only to put Milwaukee on a map as an esports destination, but in addition to give back to our community. And we've heard from MPS today with Gabby, Zach, and the work that Nolan has done for our MPS schools. And we're hearing the importance of what the esports ecosystem can do when we all come together. And I will be the first to admit, as well as Steve and Connie on this call, we don't know all the language that you speak. We hear Rocket League a lot, and we know that there are a zillion games out there. Shout out for Guitar Hero. I do remember that in my college days. But I wanted to kind of give that public service announcement, as we are here to hear you, and we are here to be under consideration for what's to come. And we understand that this is a industry that is growing, and we would like to support and put Milwaukee on the map. So bear with me here as I screen share. I have a couple slides I want to go through. If you have any questions along the way, please drop them in the chat, and we will get to them towards the end of the presentation. But just from the beginning, I just want to share, everyone can see my screen. I can't see you, so here we go. The Wisconsin Center District and Milwaukee Esports Alliance, as well as the esports community of Wisconsin. The buildings we represent are the Wisconsin Center, UW Panther Arena, and the Miller High Life Theater. And I saw our friend Dan Lucen on this call. I don't think he's on camera, but I saw his name. This next slide is for you, in tribute to everything that you've done so far for Southeastern Wisconsin and the region when it comes to the Midwest Gaming Classic. Just want to introduce our venues here to you real quick, and then kind of talk to you about why esports and why now for Milwaukee and the district. So for those of you that have not attended Dan Lucen's amazing Midwest Gaming Classic that has been at the Convention Center since 2018 and has grown every single year, even through a pandemic, we are currently a 445,000 square foot building that is here for gathering, right? Think of it as an ecosystem itself when it comes to bringing people together. We have a pretty robust IT infrastructure with more infrastructure design and network capability coming online when we finish our $440 million expansion in spring of 2024. And then you heard Brandon shout out to the Esports Summit that is coming next spring. We will be hosting that in the Panther Arena, UW Milwaukee Panther Arena, 10,000 seat arena, and hopes to have your event on that sexy black Milwaukee Wave turf. We do have the Wi-Fi 6 throughout. And then we have the Miller High Life Theater. It's a 4,100 seat theater. It's the largest theater in the state. And it also has some ancillary meeting rooms that we are able to flex and accommodate group gatherings in. So you don't necessarily have to use the theater to bring people together. I'm just gonna throw these facts up to you. You all are able to read them, I'm sure, but I really want to talk about where we're going as an organization, as a district, when it comes to bringing people together. Our initiative here at the Wisconsin Center District is called Building More. And that's everything from building more economic impact and traveling and telling the story of the city of Milwaukee and how we are such an unbelievably amazing place to bring international and national conferences to our city, to the inclusion of building more inclusion, building more camaraderie, building more building as a very obvious with the expansion coming online. But we really are looking to you as the leaders in this space and in the industry. We want to hear from you. Last week, we sat down, Brandon brought in Danny and Brittany from eSposure, Scott from Spectrum, I'm not sure if he's on the call, Mike Dahl from the WIHSEA, that's an acronym there. And we had some real conversations of what it would take for the district to be able to facilitate a venue, not just in downtown, but really a part of the entertainment district that is growing here in Westtown. So what does that look like from a space standpoint? What does that look like from an infrastructure standpoint? And just an accessibility standpoint for not just those large regional, national, international tournaments, but how do we become available for MPS and our collegiate partners that are on this call to be a space of advancing the industry as a whole? So I just really wanted to take a moment and talk about how we are here for the esports community. Brandon has pickled a little bit and put some feelers out there. We are in talks to see what it would take to be able to deliver on such a product for the market. And if there are any questions in the chat room, I would love to take some high-level questions. Know that I can't answer all your technical questions, but I am here to answer any questions you may have.
Love it. And while those may be formulating, I'll say again, so, we are grateful to have Megan and Connie and Steve. We've been grateful for Marissa Warner in the past for Visit Milwaukee. I see on the call, we've got Tim Garrettson and we've got Craig Kettleson, our Madison contingent of folks doing things in gaming. Like, this is a regional and state effort, and to have partners like Wisconsin Center District, Mad Rep, and others starting to buy in and really become a part of that dialogue will be ultimately incredibly critical for our entire region and state's success. So we're just really grateful that they are a part of it. And I think I would, tee up similar to what Megan is saying. If there aren't, questions at the exact moment, I see Steve Garrison from API SPL. I know there are people on this call that are interfacing or would have interface with a facility of this nature, where we may have shoutcasting stations where there's education available, where there'd be streaming education available, where there'd be 30, PCs to be able to facilitate some tournaments. We're trying to, do what we can to solve the need where there is a need right now. And so if you guys think, hey, I'd love to possibly have my organization be a part of something like this facility, or maybe our university would love to have their, team playing there, please reach out to me, because I'm sort of just trying to be the funnel for this conversation. And please know that we're super open, as Megan spoke to. Like, this will be a community effort to make something like this succeed and thrive and grow. And so if you guys do have anything, I'm glad she was able to kind of just set it up that this is where the dialogue has been thus far. But please reach out because we'd love to continue to build this together. I think, go ahead, Megan.
Well, and I was just going to close out by saying, know that we are talking to anyone and everyone. I had a conversation this morning with Live Switch, right? And they tout the fact that they do not have any leg on any sort of broadcasting that they do. Steve Harms is talking to people across the country on what this looks like from a sponsorship side of thing. We recognize that LA is getting a $2 million Riot Games sponsorship. We recognize that the entire state of North Carolina is getting tax credits and TIF money to be able to fund their locations, and they're recognizing it already. Brandon, you had a great piece in the journal Sentinel in the opinion section a month or two ago on the fact that we need to start the conversations, not just at a venue level, but as a city level, a state level, because the dollars are there. We know people pay money to be a part of this community, and we understand the ROI that could potentially be there. And we want to start having those conversations at the state level in Madison to see what we could do from a funding side of things as well, in addition to sponsors.
Yes, well said. Well, very cool. Thank you, Megan, for coming on and just sharing some of that story. Surely what has happened in the past is following the meeting, we get all sorts of exciting emails and people reaching out. So, I'm excited for that to occur. I think I mentioned to folks that right now, we're looking at a 2024 timeframe at this point, just given a lot of the pieces in motion with the convention center and other things. So it's a work in progress if it becomes work in progress, but it's been really exciting to at least be pursuing it. And what I think has just been so encouraging is when just some of this dialogue has gotten out, people say, oh, wow, what if this were a part of it? This would be a great need you could solve for. And so we're just really grateful for people continuing to provide perspective on something to consider. And we've got some great examples. Patrick, our world champion general manager for Bucks Gaming, mentioned District E in Washington, DC, and how they're looking at it. We've got the Butler Esports Park. We've got some examples now around the country of how this is coming together. And so we're trying to do our due diligence to figure out how can we do it the best way for our community and integrate, Madison, Milwaukee, the rest of the state, this type of a thing. So very exciting stuff. Awesome. I'm going to jump just because of time. I know Tristan just put a question in, so maybe Megan take a look, but I'll jump right now because we actually have someone on the call. I hope. Yep, there he is. And my guy, Dylan, who has been a part of a different state's esports ecosystem, was one of the curated folks who helped it come to life. And he is now, thankfully, within our state of Wisconsin as the head esports coach for UW River Falls. And Dylan, don't let me not show your PowerPoint slide because that would be just a travesty. There's my guy. So Dylan Gentilcore here joining us today as our community Storytime participant. Just took over as the head coach at UW River Falls. I saw Kellen on here, who's the AD there. It was a long time coming. They've recently invested and are super excited to continue to invest in growing their esports ecosystem, and getting Dylan is a huge part of that. So Dylan, my friend, welcome. Would love if you wouldn't mind just kind of giving a quick, hey, who you are. You have an incredible background in Indiana, what you've been through, and just kind of let people know how you got here.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me, Brandon. It's been amazing just learning and being here with you all. It's really been an amazing experience moving out here to Wisconsin. I've met so many great people already locally in River Falls and at UWRF, and as well as in the esports scene across the state. And I'm really excited to keep meeting people and learning from them and trying to contribute as much as I can in these early phases, and hopefully becoming a bigger partner going forward. But yeah, my name is Dylan Gentilcore. I'm from Indiana, lived there basically my whole life until right around when I turned 30. And then that's when I made the jump over here. And I really got my start in esports at a young age, like a lot of people. I've been playing video games since I could pick up a controller. And then when I went to university, I was one of those kids who went to a Title I school, middle of nowhere. My graduating class size was like 25, really small rural community between a cow field and a cornfield. And I went into computer science originally looking to create video games, but coding didn't really speak to me. I ended up getting a degree in theater, had a theater degree in Indiana, didn't feel like going up to Chicago and being a waiter for most of my life. So I decided to get into teaching, where I could pursue passions like helping people get involved in the things that they love and accessing like just that upward mobility in society, right, that we see through education. So after getting my master's in teaching, I went over to Carmel. I got involved in some extracurriculars right off the bat, like debate, and I took over their debate program. After a year of doing that, I started to fool around in my head with the idea of starting an esports program. I wasn't sure how viable that was at the time. There wasn't anything concrete in Indiana. This was like summer 2018. We didn't really have anything in the way of a lot of established national leagues or competitions for high schoolers. Play Versus was one of the names that was like slowly cropping up due to the capital that they had raised. HSEL was someone who had been around for a little while, but I wasn't too familiar with their offerings. Turns out my uncle-in-law, not yet, but soon to be, was running an esports program already from his small rural school, very similar to what I grew up in Rossville, Indiana. And I talked to him and I saw what he was doing. And I was like, man, if you are able to do this here, and I'm afraid to do it at Carmel, where I'm in an affluent suburb of Indianapolis, I'm 20 minutes away from Butler. We have 5,600 students. We're known as like state and national champions in so many different competitions. I think I have to make that leap. So I did that. I went back to the school fall of 2018. I reconnected with some players that I had met through just me teaching them English, right? And then making, relationships with my students throughout the school. And we started Carmel Esports in earnest that fall. We found pretty immediate success, which was amazing. And that was one of the pillars I really expressed to the students, right? If we want administration to take us seriously in this community where excellence isn't just a goal, it's an expectation, I said, we have to win. It's as simple as that. If you want this to be a real legitimate club, if you want people to care about what we're doing, as much as it stinks to focus on the results so much, especially at the onset, we did have to go out and get them. And working backwards from that proved to pay dividends. We won the Hearthstone National Championship in HSEL that very first semester. Within 6 months of starting the program, we were elevated to a board approved program that received the same treatment as our varsity teams, which unfortunately there basically just meant they provide some bus transportation to competitions, which there aren't too many in esports. And I got a very nominal stipend, but I mean, it was still the aspect of like, hey, we officially made it. We followed that up with some high finishes in HSEL and CSGO, back-to-back second places. We would go on to finally win the championship in CSGO at another point. But what really I found to be a place of passion for me was helping other schools get involved after everything that I'd learned, just brute forcing everything and working with the students, collaborating with my uncle-in-law and figuring out best practices along the way. I started the Indiana Esports Network with a few other people, my uncle-in-law, Nate Thompson, John Robertson, 2 other guys from Indiana who've done some incredible work in their space. And the 4 of us got together in summer of 2019, and we met, looked with some local partners and everything, and we were able to get a season 0 of the Indiana High School Esports Network going. From there, we kept trying to expand and offer new titles, offer more tools to our member schools to get them up and running. It was really funny listening to the people who were working on MPS, right? And when you think about helping these schools out, there's so many hurdles you have to try and navigate them through. And that's something that ever since that first year in 2019, we keep going back to the drawing board and addressing like, how can we help a school get past these obstacles so that their students can reap the benefit of esports. So over that time, we've made it through the pandemic. Indiana Esports Network, I'm still on the board of directors for, and we are, booting up for another year, our 4th year going. Carmel Esports in that time span totaled 6 national championships, 2 regional championships through like the North American Scholastic Esports Federation. And we did a semester of play versus because it was $1. And then we ended up winning 32 state championships across those first 3 years in the high school division of Indiana Esports Network. And doing all of that, once again, was like, let's look at the results and find a way to really enable us to get the cool things that we want our kids to capitalize on. So while we were taking part in all of this, I was strategically working and like trying to acquire equipment, doing low cost runs to Micro Center in Chicago, charging everything I could on my own credit card, just buying as much as I could with what little money that I was able to raise through fundraising and prize money. We finally built an esports lab last year. We made a commitment to help the kids learn how to make their own content. The students were driving all of our social media accounts last year. We were streaming. We started to become tournament organizers during the first semester of the pandemic, and we've been hosting a national tournament ever since. And that's now sponsored by HyperX as well as the program itself. So Carmel Esports entered a 2-year peripheral sponsorship with HyperX just this May. And that to me was really critical because my mission has always been to provide free or as close to free esports experiences as possible. Indiana Esports Network is completely free for all of our members. All of the meetings that I have with people, the onboarding experiences, the help, the assets that I give them, that's entirely free. None of my colleagues receive any compensation. And the way that I ran Carmel Esports is I wanted to make sure that the kids had a space. They go into a room after school and they don't have to have an amazing computer of their own. They don't have to have high-end peripherals, that we would provide that for them. So all of this has been a mission by me to help my kids access the skills along the way as well. They're the ones leading the charge on content, on marketing, on how we present ourselves to the public, what our image is, as well as driving their investment in the program. And now that I've left with everything that they have at the table, I know the kids, just from keeping in touch with them, they're going off and doing amazing things. And to me, that recenters my mission here at Wisconsin, right? And at UWRF specifically, I have the great opportunity to build up a program before launching my varsity rosters in fall of 2023. So I'm really excited about all the initiatives I'm launching here on campus, recreational tournaments, open play time in our lab that's going to be open to all students for free. We're going to have diversity and inclusion events to work against stigma and a lot of toxic behavior in the esports community that we want to address right off the bat. So we're trying to build community, build culture, do it the right way. We're working with companies to provide better events to our students all along the way. And then me personally, as a coach who is so invested in the high school scene, I'm currently working on basically getting every school west of Eau Claire involved in high school esports and hopefully middle school esports at some point. So I'm really excited to begin working with everyone and continue learning from all the great people in the state. And it's been amazing just in this call today, hearing the stories of other people and how excited Wisconsin and Milwaukee are for esports.
Love it. Well, you've gotten a number of shout outs in the chat, as you may imagine, Dylan, from folks that have admired the work you've done at Carmel. And also there's a lot of love for Indiana. This between cow fields and cornfields. I never heard that before, but that's legit. Yeah, we're super stoked to have you here. I think as folks can probably get the impression on the call, this was a big pull for the state to get Dylan to come join. And that's a shout out to Kellen and the team at UW River Falls, who put a lot of intention behind the way that they're building their program. And shout out to really a lot of the universities in our state system right now, private and public, that are all really looking at growing and investing into this. So it's a really exciting time that way. And as you alluded to, right, it takes a village. We got to have the esports scene growing in high schools. We are so lucky to have Mike Dahl and James O'Hagan and others that are helping our Wisconsin High School Esports Association. It's such a critical part to making our university system thrive, which then helps our pro teams succeed. I mean, you guys are seeing it's all cyclical. So excited to have you. Thank you for just sharing your story and what you're looking to do here. We're excited for you and excited to see it build. So I think, folks, we're at 12:56, and I always like punctuality. So we're right at the end of our time today. I'll just conclude it with a thank you. I'm always so grateful to see all the faces on the screen and appreciate the great chat dialogue and the questions. Of course, reach out afterwards. If you haven't yet, our Discord has turned into a really nice place to continue to communicate throughout. the everyday type of stuff that's going on in the ecosystem. So if you haven't yet, think about joining the Discord, introducing yourself, letting people kind of know your story. It's a great place for us all to connect. Got a number of things upcoming, including the summit. And we just thank you all. We're